Clap, clap, clap. Woo! Yep, woo, woo! Let's go. The music is pumping and we are all jumping. We're pumping. You don't stub it.
We don't stub it?
Stub it. We're not bumping.
I mean,
More jalapenos.
Hold the horses, Brother Dan. We don't stuff it. We're puppets.
Yeah. Ryan.
All you do is get stuffed.
I mean, like maybe trumpets. Tea and crumpets. But just stuff it.
Keep going. Give me 4 more.
Hey, Jansen, welcome.
Hey.
Let's say hi to our guest for this final breakdown of season 1. We have Bill and Glenn Bowie from Non-Terrestrial Half-Life, the brand new YouTube channel. And we have the lovely Shansony who's joining us. Let's separate these two because I feel like it's going to be assault. You're in charge of keeping the peace, Shansony.
Oh, well then there's going to be no peace.
These two, these curmudgeons
There'll be
are...
a lot of pieces. Piece there, a piece there.
Peace is never an option with these two. No.
Awesome.
All we are saying is give peace a
chance.
Yeah.
A piece of what,
Everyone's
though?
talking about masturbation, emulation, retribution, contribution.
Okay.
Huh.
Most attribution.
Mastication.
Chewing. Okay, I like chewing.
Okay.
What's going on?
What's going on, guys?
I want a yes and Jansen. Okay, so you have been guiding us through the first 7 episodes, and we're loving it. Are you ready to tackle this illustrious, infamous episode 8?
And this, like we were talking, this is the most controversial episode of the entire series. If you were a serious book reader of the series, you were dumbfounded by some of the things that you saw. If you were just someone who has been watching it, not so much. But to the reading fans, we had a lot of changes due to 4 different things, and we always need to take that into consideration. One was the loss of one of our major characters, the actor, Barney Harris. One was the fact that the entire world was going through a pandemic. 2 was budget. And 3 was something that I'm going to say this. Maybe I think some of the production got it a little wrong with how they saw some of the things happen. But that being said, I still enjoyed it because I am that much of a Wheel of Time fan, and any new content, any new things that they bring or points of view that they try to show us, I'm always good to see it. So, you know, that's one thing. And, you know, to all the people, we can call them the haters, I do understand some of the things and some of the reasons why you're upset. But I also understand why some of the people liked it. There's some of the reasons, and, you know, I'm going to add a 5th thing. A lot of it was because of production and turning a book into a show. They had to do some of those changes, and we're going to talk about some of those today. And before we do anything, we always say, just like Ryan said at the beginning, we have a huge spoiler alerts throughout the book, if not the series today. So if you have not gone past the Eye of the World, reading it or watching this series, I would turn this off and save this for later. So,
and actually, Tavern Talk itself tends to be full spoilers, so it may even extend beyond the Eye of the World. So just be forewarned.
Absolutely. So let's dive in, guys, because we got a lot to talk about. Our last episode ended with Rand finding out, or at least admitting to himself, that he was the Dragon Reborn, and he told Moraine that. And it ended with them walking into the light.
Side quest.
Yes.
Main quest.
And we have a lot of people who had a lot of different thoughts about the beginning of our episode 8. And it starts with 2 actors, one Alexander Kareem and one Katie Braben, who were playing Luce Theron Talamon and Latra Postai Dusame. And Luce Theron obviously was the Dragon Reborn, and Latra is the Tamerlane seat, is what they called her back in the day. And I have to believe that the dragon and the Tamerlane both were yin and yang to the Aes Sedai, and they both had an incredible amount of power. So we're starting back 3,000 years in the Age of Legends with them speaking. We didn't have this in the books, obviously, but we did have people talk about it, including Lews Therin himself inside Ray's head, about how women would not join with him in this fight against the Dark One.
Mhm.
And
I think I noticed in the rewatch that Lews Therin was wearing all dark
yes,
to represent Sidene. The Amerlin is wearing all white. And then later we have the Dark One, who is a both. He has white, black over white.
yes,
If you go, you notice LTT also had on his brooch that he had on.
Yeah,
It was either a dragon in the shape of Sidene or Sidene in the shape of a dragon. So
yes, absolutely.
that was pretty.
That
cool.
was one piece of jewelry he had on, but he also had another piece of jewelry. He had a ring that him and the quote-unquote Dark One both had on as well. Now, we don't know if those were ter'angreal, if they were just symbolic pieces of their station, or if they were what I think they were, is what they have today in the White Tower, just a symbol of them being Aes Sedai.
Oh, okay.
That's what I
I
think.
know Latra Posay was wearing one too.
Exactly. So
I figured it was a form of power the way that he was using it at the end, but you could be right. Yeah, it could just be he was just powerful and he just had this weird 3-finger ring.
yeah.
It's quite possible it could be both an Angreal and the symbol of them being Aes Sedai. It could be either or, but it could also be both at the same time.
Okay,
What I found most interesting was her calling him the Dragon Reborn.
Exactly.
Yeah, I didn't like that.
Very,
So-
very interesting.
Yeah, that brings up a whole different sort of timeline thing where, okay, he's not the dragon. He's the Dragon Reborn.
Well, maybe he's a dragon in every age, and he's reborn in every age. So,
Yes,
Correct.
which would
I think
change
that's-
over from yes.
But that
Change-
opens the door for Rand to have more voices in his head than just Lews Therin.
That's
So
a
I found that intriguing.
that's a crazy thought. It's fascinating. I always thought, even up until like starting over again, that the dragon always was reborn every age, and they just kind of went through this. It's only under closer examination you start understanding that like the ages. But I wonder, is this a limitation of just any human's understanding of what an age is? Is it the assumption of the age that they're in now that everything started really Age of Legends, but they just really have no idea what's going on beforehand, that it could have been that there literally could be the Dragon Reborn every cycle?
I actually think it's just a production mistake.
I agree. Yes, I agree.
No,
with
I
that.
think it's a conscious choice, and I don't think it's a wrong one per se, because I think the dragon does get spit out, and it doesn't make it's not an abuse to canon to just say that each time the Light's avatar comes out, he's called the dragon. So Lews Therin was the Dragon Reborn. Just it is different from book canon, but I don't think it's offensive in my heart.
Well, book canon and show canon are their own things at this point,
Absolutely.
and they always should be. You know,
Absolutely.
and you can't say that violating book canon is a knock against the show, because it's going to have its own canon. It just has to. It's a different.
Right.
It's a different thing.
So I was actually asking about book canon. Like, is there a possibility that it is in that world that the dragon is reborn every time? And
If I remember,
That's how I
I
was.
remember
So
correctly,
it still
there's a
makes
phrasing. They gave him the name Dragon. If I
Uh-huh.
remember correctly in the books, I
Yeah.
couldn't tell you which book it was in, but that phrase
Right.
sticks in my head for some reason. They gave him the name.
So here's my idea. It's not. I'm not asking. Do they call him the dragon every time? Is the Avatar reborn? I mean, it could have been John Lennon, and we fucking killed him. In
It
our
wouldn't be
age.
him. No.
Well, he would have had the tattoos, right?
I meant John Legend. Sorry.
I don't think there was any music then. I'll put it that way.
But you know what I'm saying, though? Like, I have this understanding that, and I think Dan agrees with me, that some sort of, like, good force is born every time and every turning.
But if that's the case, then the female dragon, Amarasu, would be born in every cycle, too. And we did not see her in the second or third or potentially fourth age.
Well, she's chilling. She's just like, she's not.
Well, then there must be some ages where the dragon chills, and she comes out and says, "Hey."
Okay, that's
well,
interesting.
they
Yeah.
have made 5 Taverns, so maybe that is Egwene. Who knows?
Maybe she was.
And
low.
that's a change. That's a change I'm happy with, by the way. I just want to state it now. 5 Taverns, I'm good with that.
In the cyclical nature of time, we're assuming that the 7 ages pass, an entire wheels turns, and then like 5 and 6 is Rand pops up. Really, that like Luz and Rand pop up again. Is that the idea of the? Because everything is right. Everything's circular.
Yeah, everything's circular.
Right, like so, like how is it that like we're just having 2 ages out of 7 with a dragon, and what's happening the other ages?
I don't think of it as circular so much as it's a spiral, because every time you come back again, things are different.
Like
it's
DNA. Interesting.
Well, no, not like DNA, because that's a helix.
Yeah.
Yeah, but every time you come around again, there are echoes of the previous third age, but it's not verbatim. Everything's the same.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Did you guys not consider all the experiences that he went through in his head to not be prior dragons?
Well, see,
like
I
mean the
think
portal stone?
Yeah, Jensen.
Actually, have happened before. Everything's happened before, because I think that the proof of that is that men can read the pattern, and if she can read things that are going to happen before they happen, they must have already happened if she's reading the pattern.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I think. I think,
wow.
Well, I think the pattern exists both in the present, the past, and the future simultaneously.
I agree with that.
So,
It's
yeah.
omnipresent.
I don't know if the way I view what Min's viewing is more like she's seeing the major, important, big things that don't have tiny little variations between ages. So whereas 1/7 age is going to be, this way, it's going to, and then the next 7th age is going to be almost exactly the same, except for just these few little variations that don't really matter. Those are the kinds of things Min would never see. All the stuff that stays the same, she might be seeing it from a past or future turning of that age. But I do think it's stuff that's gonna happen. It's like, whereas in Doctor Who, very few things are a fixed point in time, I think in Wheel of Time, most things are a fixed point in time and can't be changed.
Well, but then you're calling
least
free will
age to
until like nobody has free will then.
Right.
Right.
That's my contention.
And we've gone over that a bunch of times, but I don't know if we know your opinion, Johnson.
Well, I think that the illusion of free will might as well be free will if you feel like it is, because from your perspective, it is. So whether or not it actually is in some meta sense is kind of academic. So whatever.
Could Rand have avoided a fulfilling prophecy?
No, because I think that's what TAVERN is for. It basically will pull you and everyone around you where you need to be for these events to happen, because the pattern's like, no. You're not going to do your own thing. And I hope the show going forward really hammers that home, that like being TAVERN kind of sucks and you should hate it, because like you're actually not in control of your own life. It's basically taking your free will away to a big extent.
Well, I think Rand shackled to the wheel says that better than anything.
For sure.
I think he's shackled to it. So, and
literally
shackled to the wheel. So one of the, speaking of staying canon to the book, I do love the little things that I noticed from put in the show that are from the book, like the high people, the people who ran the Age of Legends were so respected that they earned their third name. And with Luz Theron and Latra Pasai Dusame, they both had a third name, and it's something that most non-book readers would never catch up on or pick up on. But me being a book reader, I noticed that, and it's nice to see those little things that they are still trying to do. Like we did see the showings and the Jokars in that little snippet of seeing the Age of Legends and everything back there. So they gave us a look of what the future was, and or at least what now was. Yeah.
Jansen, I gotta interrupt you. It doesn't escape my notice that you are the only one with 3 names here.
Oh, whoa.
I just have one.
I know, just a measly one.
They took a name away from you.
I earned my third name.
Yeah. We'll have a whole show about your third naming, right?
You know who else doesn't? You know who else doesn't have 3 names? Mieran Aranile.
Ah.
Which is who's that? Lanfear?
Lanfear, yeah.
Yeah. She was.
Neither does Balthamel or Asmodean, but still, they're losers. Like Lanfear, I'm sure she was salty about it for sure.
Oh yeah.
She got the last laugh, so.
She sure as hell did.
I don't think Moghedien had a third name either.
I think there was a couple others that didn't.
If she married Luce, if she married Luce Theron Telemon, does she get a third name?
Ilyena did. Ilyena Theron Morel. So yeah.
You can marry into that shit. That's kind of weak.
Well,
they ran married into a heron mark blade almost.
He ran into it.
It sounded like she married into a family name of Theron, and like the Romans, the third name was more of a nickname, type thing, a cognomen. Because the last name with the Romans was the middle name, I should say, was your family name. So it was Gaius Julius. He was from the Julii, and Caesar was a nickname given to that branch of his family. And I think that's where Jordan got this.
Yeah.
Do you think Sun Hair, it was considered a positive? Did she really like that nickname?
No, I think it's interesting that the only thing we ever learn about Ilyena in all the time that Luce Theron is moaning about her in Rand's head is that she was wand. It's literally, she was a 3-name Aes Sedai, apparently a big deal in the Age of Legends, and all he could talk about was,
mother of his children. No, she was the hot blonde, yeah.
Yeah, hot blonde, mother of his children. It's whatever her accomplishments were, her value as a human being outside of being his wife, and lost to history. Could not be bothered to tell Rand, oh, by the way, Ilyena actually, no.
Now, 2 things that I noticed that they did do in this, as far as by a production standpoint, and why they did it, and how I understand it is, one is a big thing is the taint on the source. Now, we never got anything in the beginning of them talking about exactly what was going to happen if Luce Theron faced the Dark One, what his counter strike would be. But here we have her telling him directly at the very beginning, this is going to happen if you touch.
She predicts it.
I didn't like that. I didn't like that.
No, I didn't like it. I know why they did it. They did it because it took us and book readers years to read little snippets of what happened and why and how it got together and what they were fighting for and what they were fighting against. Now, for a production and a television show, they need to draw people in, and people need to have an outline of what's going on, not reading into it. And this is why they did that. And I understand why, because it keeps people, attached to the show. It keeps people understanding what's going on without having to go through page after page after page and piecing it together. And so we get something, and it tells them, okay, this is the battle. This is what we're fighting for. This is what we're fighting against, and this is what we hope doesn't happen.
But it also makes both of them look worse, because it makes her look worse for predicting this and then not doing anything about it. And it makes him look worse for knowing that it could happen, and him not doing anything about it. So like, you know, in the books, you can kind of like give him a little bit of grace for like just never being able to comprehend that something like that could happen. But in this scenario, they were both, you know, derelict in their duty to prevent that from happening.
I believe if that's even, I actually like that because Lews Therin, as we all know as book readers, made tons of mistakes. He, you know, from the very beginning, he wasn't even raised right, if you know what I mean. Because Rand even tells Min that later on in the books. What was when she asked what was the difference, he looks at her and said, "I was raised better this time." And that's solely because of Tam. And so, you know, Lews Therin, and I never looked at Lews Therin as a hero when I read the book.
No.
Not at all. He was an arrogant prick as far as you know, that's what I think Demon Dread were a lot alike back in the Age of Legends.
All right, let's address this real fast before we move on from Ilyena. Does she have 4 names? Did she give up a name?
Oh, well,
What
if
happened?
she gives up a name, it's not her Aes Sedai name. She gives up her family name to become Mrs. Dragon Reborn.
Yeah,
You
she
know.
wasn't Saldaean.
Blonde hot wife.
No, if she was Saldaean, she would have kept it, but
Well, but that was before Saldea was even a thing.
exactly. I know.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't think she gave up her honorific for being Aes Sedai. She gave up her family name, which I guess she was done with now that she had a man. So
Yes. Now, the other thing that I was talking about, I said 2 things that they did production-wise. This was something they did. This was something that Star Trek did with the Klingons. When you add a fictitious language and you have to act it, it's extremely difficult. extremely difficult. And I really, you know, as an actor, gave a lot of props to those 2 for conversation with a fictitious language, which they had the right inflection. They had everything down. And I love drawing good things from this episode because so many people who have bad things from this episode.
Jason, have you ever had to do that in an acting bit?
No, I never have, and I'm terrified.
Okay, I think we have an improv game we got to do sometime.
What? The Klingon.
I love everything about this prologue except for the writing. That's the only thing I don't like about this prologue. Everything else about it is pretty much just how I'd want it to be. If we were going to get this scene, this is how I want to see this scene, how I want it to be acted. Just there's a few extra words thrown in to this dialogue that shift everything from being in line. You know, all the canon problems are literally just 1 or 2 words added in a spot or 2 here and there.
Well, my objection wouldn't even be from a canon standpoint. It would just be from the internal consistency of what they're presenting in that version.
Yeah, but see, I also don't. The part of what I don't like about the writing is it makes she has that line towards Lews Therin about, you know, I need to teach you you don't need to be invincible. But that was never the problem with Lews Therin in the book, in the Strike at Shea Ogul at least, because they flat out knew, he and the 100 Companions knew they weren't coming back. They did not expect to come back. This was, they were willing to sacrifice themselves to stop the dragon, or the Dark One, at such dire need that, you know,
but
I've argued this before, whether in the book or on the show, Latra Posay was a Dark Friend. She did everything she could to stop the one chance that probably had a chance of defeating the Dark One.
I disagree.
Instead, she wanted to wait until they could use what the Shodan Call, which that flat out says could destroy the world. One could do it, 2 definitely would.
I don't think she's a dark friend. I mean, I think they just had differing opinions.
I think she was a deep cover dark friend trying to
this out.
I disagree. Because if Latra Posay was a dark friend, she would be forsaken. She would be at Shai Ghul. She would be one of.
Not necessarily.
She would. She would. If she's the most powerful, if she's the most powerful Aes Sedai in the world, you had best believe she would be a Forsaken. But regardless of that, she was
She's more useful. she's more useful to the Dark One as the leader of the Aes Sedai.
Then why did she bring about like?
Visibly on his side.
I mean, no.
What? Yeah, Shantini is right. I mean,
the one thing that
in this point, Shantini is right. Why then would she counsel? What was the proper advice? To not fuck with it. To let
idea was right.
Well, for one thing, La Triposée was operating under imperfect knowledge of the situation because she did not know about Lews Therin's armed forces that he was building up on the down low. Like, she didn't know he was doing that, and that's like super shady. Yeah, that's super shady of him.
He was the supreme commander of the armies.
Regardless.
He can send 10,000 over here to go do this.
But he was raising them up in secret, was not telling the leadership of the Aes Sedai about this at all. He did this all on his own in direct contradiction of the Aes Sedai. Like, he basically was just like, nope, I'm doing it. Well, but because the rest of the Aes Sedai. No.
Okay.
Settle down, let me finish.
All right, let's take turns.
Yeah, and it's my turn right now. In the Aes Sedai, only Lews Therin and his 100 companions decided this was the right thing to do. The rest of the Aes Sedai, men and women alike, were like, no, we're not doing that. But they decided, we know better.
Wait, Glenn, let her finish.
And not one single woman would go with Lews Therin and act as a linking agent. So like every single woman and a lot of the men disagreed with what Lews Therin wanted to do. And he did it anyway, and it just literally destroyed civilization for millennia.
Well,
you have the floor.
Guys, I think Glenn, hold on. I think this is the topic for another show. If we can put a pin in this, we only have an hour and a half, so let's stay focused if we can. But this is fascinating. But I don't want to get so derailed that we can't.
So to end that first scene, I'd like to know a lot of this. There was a lot of symbolism in that scene, and it showed me something that it didn't show me completely as a book reader, which I'm glad, because you can't do that on a show. But it showed me that even back then, the Aes Sedai had rifts between them. They had arguments. They had power struggles. They disagreed a lot, and they were the power of the time. And I think that for the most part, Rafe showed us all that. Then we have the credits, and now we are starting our show in the Blight with Moiraine and Rand. Now,
I like this vision of the Blight. I think it's different, but it's fun. It's like a little thorny maze kind of thing. It's cool. There was a mushroom guy. I like that. It worked for me.
I love that Moiraine had to tell him, don't touch anything.
Yeah.
I like that.
But then they fall asleep and on everything. They're just lying on logs and shit.
And I also like, from a production standpoint, it took us a long time in the books to make it to and through the Blight. At a production standpoint for a show, we had to find a way to get there quicker. And this was a very, very easy and quick way to do it, considering that Piran and Matt didn't do much when they went to the Blight. They sat there scared, and neither did our illustrious women either, So, I think that this was a production choice. I think it was a shortcut that they needed to make for a good production and to save money. And I think it was... And for COVID and all those things. I think that was a good choice, considering, all the things that they had to fight to do this. So we have them in there, and they did a few things to show us how dangerous the Blight was by having the mushroom guy, who I call, and they showed how scary it was. They had the little things about don't touch anything, like you just said, and I think that it was great as far as a production standpoint on how they got our two heroes there.
Ryan, when you said they fell asleep, what happened in my head is that Moiraine said, let's take 30 minutes. Let's take a break. Rand fell asleep. She did not. She was just keeping watch. So that whole Moss hand thing, it wasn't until he jerked erect that, and she was like, What'd you dream? What
happened?
Apparently my take was so spicy. He had to go get milk.
Wow.
But yeah, all right. But I do like that. And this dream sequence that's coming up, I think was fun, man.
I think it was fun, but I also think it showed something else that a lot of people, especially non-book readers, wouldn't pick up on. I believe now that Ishmael is able to pull people into dreams. He has proven that more than once in this episode, and that was something that was very, very difficult to do, but he still did that in the books. So, as one of the strongest dreamers in the entire series, I think they're utilizing Ishmael's powers very well.
I thought he was great.
Oh,
I think he has a sense of humor too.
Yeah, fair's fair.
It's one thing I like about this scene. One of the things is he has a sense of humor at the whole pushing the arrow into his eye. Just, to think of getting rid of the arrow like that in TAVERN or Dream Shard or what have you, that just takes some amount of a sense of humor. You kind of have, because that was, I found it amusing.
I think
What's the whole, God, you don't look anything like him, but you're him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's I was trying to wrap my head around that concept. It was like, I don't know. I mean, it's a concept that we can't really grasp, I don't think.
Well,
right? I couldn't grasp it. I was like trying to imagine Ryan, but with like a completely different face, and not even talking to me and saying, God, yeah, that's you. I don't know.
And, we also get Piran. Next, we also get Piran and Egwene talking very quickly, and they squash all their bullshit concept of Piran liking Egwene. And
this is not a CW show.
No, it's not. Exactly.
Ride or die, let's go.
And they did that quick, but then we went right back to the Blight, and we saw the 7 Towers, which was a very cool thing to bring out. And that gave us something else. We found out Lan's age. Lan is 40, because Moraine tells us that happened 40 years ago, and we know that Lan had to flee when he was an infant. So we know now that Lan is 40 years old. A small tidbit, but still something cool. We know.
I like it. He's
fit.
Her dialogue there actually makes me think that 40 at most. 3 years ago, it was miles from Tarwin's Gap. Her exact lines. So what moved? Tarwin's Gap or the 7 Towers?
Yes.
3 years ago, they were miles closer to Tarwin's Gap.
True.
My thinking is neither.
The towers?
No.
I thought it was the Blight.
So it's more like...
Oh, go ahead, Chuck.
It's more like dark energy, the space between just expanded?
That's not what I think. I think that the Blight acts in many ways like TAVERN in the real world, and that's why the Blight does not exist in TAVERN, because it's basically like the 2 layers are compressed together to form the Blight, and that's one of the reasons why it is a Blight, because it's not just a natural world anymore. It is the natural world with a layer of TAVERN kind of like suffused into it, and causing these sorts of strange, distance anomalies and whatnot that you would encounter as a matter of course in TAVERN.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's my thought.
I can see that. That makes sense.
Yeah, I like that.
Welcome back, Ryan.
Thank you.
I will say that I haven't said it yet. The acting in this, it was phenomenal. Especially within the Blight, we're talking about a lot of up close face things, because it's this cramped quarters, right? So the Blight's right here. There was a lot of up close, and to me, Josha
Yosha.
was Yosha. Yeah, man, that guy. I wasn't as impressed with his acting until this rewatch.
Their chemistry has gotten so much better. It's very good now. Their chemistry's awesome.
Yeah. The two of them together really worked for me. This rewatch,
Me as well.
really worked for me. Yeah.
I love the tension with the dream sequence, and then it goes out of the dream sequence and things start playing out the same way. That tension was built up very well.
Very, very
Right.
So, I mean, I really appreciated that because I'm going, oh God, is it going to happen for real now? So,
And you saw that in his face. He's like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
This is deja vu.
That
well. Now,
tension.
you know what? We also get something else, and this goes to, this is really bugging me. So, Rand asks Moraine, what is your plan? And Moraine pulls out a Sa'angreal and says, here, you can use this. What I want to know is, are Sa'angreal now gender fluid?
No, I don't think
How
so.
did she know that? So did she have one for females with her too?
No, I think she found a male Sa'angreal and realized that it would be best for her to hang on to it just in case she ever needed it for any reason. And of course, she was pursuing the Dragon Reborn. So.
What would she have done if it was Egwene or Nynaeve?
That's a good question. But she has her own Ungreal. So she might have given her.
But we haven't heard yet, yay or nay, whether or not they're only used by Sidar or Sidene, and that's what I'm wondering. Are they taking that out of the series?
Well,
My guess would be no, because then there would be no reason to have 2 cheat and call statues, and that would be a very a change in the story that would cause a lot of other threads to come unraveled.
Right.
I can see that there only being one statue that needs a male and female to trigger. I don't think they're going to have 2 separate, one on an island and one. I think it's going to be like, don't cross the stream, but we're both blasting this statue.
I think if they have the chosen call, they'll go with both. But I'm not guaranteeing that they'll use the chosen call. They could find some other way to do certain different events.
God,
I think
only are needed for the cleansing.
Well, I think the cheated call are such a MacGuffin, and they're so visually, like, they will translate visually very cool because they're monumental. They're being excavated, like. Visually, they're going to be super cool, and you'll be able to see them in the Age of Legends completely in their, beautiful pristine state.
Hand on Tremolking, I love to see all that.
Yeah, there's no way they're going to get rid of those. Just because of the visual
I don't
aspect.
think they will, but it is something that they could, so I'm not going to guarantee that we'll get them. But there is, on a related note to the whole gendering of the one power, there is a line that I have to wonder why they chose this line to go with. Rand asked Moraine why she can't teach, or to teach him, and she says, "I can't because it would put you one step closer to the madness." True, but why not just go with the simpler answer and do some exposition for the audience and say, "Women can't teach men, men can't teach women."
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering that too.
And that's an example of the details in this, the writing and the details in the writing of this episode that just get under my skin and build up until there's like 1,000, and it's driving me nuts, and I don't like the episode. But
No,
I hear that.
I hear that.
And speaking of not liking most of the writing, because it veers off of the book so much, and in the next scene we get a beautiful piece directly from the book, and that is with Nynaeve and Lan. And she tells him that a wisdom never weds, but if I go to Tarvalon, I may be something other than a wisdom. And then he tells her, I will hate the man you choose and love him for making you smile. That is directly from the book, and it was there. I'm glad they put it there. And I guess they needed to. But it was directly from the books. So that's one of the love stories in The Wheel of Time that I actually tolerate.
I don't like any of them.
I think that they only had 8 episodes. They did what they could to establish the backstory better than the book did. And I think that their sex scene last episode was fantastic. I was really into it. I was like, oh, I'm feeling their love. And so even though it feels a tiny bit rushed, it's only because they didn't have 2 more episodes to kind of more develop it, I think.
At least it doesn't come out of nowhere. Because, like, for me, it came out of nowhere because I wasn't even looking for it in Eye of the World. And then suddenly in Great Hunt, I was like, oh, wait, they're into each other? What did I miss?
Right, right.
Yeah.
And so I like how the show developed all the relationships. Swan and Moraine better, Len and Nynaeve, even Egwene and Rand. I didn't buy them as a couple before. It was just kind of this assumed forced marriage kind of bullshit.
And again, that's for production purposes, so they get people to want to watch this. And let's be fair. If they played it off like they did in the books, you wouldn't be that interested. Like, oh, well, they were promised to each other but never did anything, and okay, that's it. You know,
no, they did way better, I think. Yeah,
the stakes are way higher.
Hey, Jansen, before you go any further, did you notice any product placement in this episode? Did you find any? Because I certainly did. Did you want me to show you?
Oh, yeah.
Here.
Or
Have
nuts.
some of that.
I totally
You need
missed
to
that.
keep up your strength.
You're gonna need to keep up your strength. Poor nuts. There you go. Please subscribe.
Now,
Please.
now this is what I believe.
Please.
Now, in the books,
Nice.
they had, Moraine told Nynaeve at one point during this time, while they were on their way to the Blight, that perhaps your herbs have more use than I thought. So I'm just thinking that maybe, she might have gotten slipped something by Nynaeve before, and she gave it to him to keep up his strength. That's what I'm thinking. That's the only thing I can draw from that. That's the only thing I can draw.
I missed that.
But they did say that in the books, so I'm like, okay, well, it's possible that Moraine could have given him something to keep up his strength. Maybe.
Like
Dosed him with a little meth to keep it going.
Lamas bread or something? What's it called? Lamb.
Yeah, nice, Ryan. Yeah, Ryan, I'm impressed.
That was a deep pull.
Nice.
I almost got it right.
Wow.
So now we go back to Rand and Moraine, and Rand gets pulled into the world of dreams again, but very differently.
Right.
He notices a symbol, this symbol, and he also starts seeing some things, which also I want to go back because I want to say something. I believe now that as soon as Rand touched the source, Lews Therin started developing in his mind. We see that because he saw the mountain, and I don't think a baby's going to remember that mountain.
No.
I think Lews Therin, because we know in the books he remembers how he died, so he saw the mountain of form. But I have to believe that Lews Therin is there already.
Well, I like that.
I would agree with that for sure.
I like that. I thought they were just being clever and being like, oh, yeah, I was born there.
I'll go one further. I think Lews Therin has always been there.
I agree.
With your theory of time being concurrent.
Yes, I agree. Yes. And so we go into the quote unquote I guess. But there are a couple of other things, what was I writing?
Jansen, do you think, or I just want to ask everyone, the panel, do we think that the Blight is going to be significant later on in the series?
Sure.
Okay.
That's probably
Okay.
late show stuff.
For me, it has to come back. if it doesn't come back, then they just built some stupid thing just to make readers happy when they could have just kind of went on a walkabout in the desert and found it just as easily. Like adding the blight felt superficial because they just kind of walked through it and got through it without really anything happening.
Well, I can see why they would want to visually distinguish it from just an ordinary wasteland, so that it has some character to it, so that when you do go back to it, you're like, okay, I'm not just in the Io waste.
Yeah. No, I just hope they go back to it for sure. I hope it's a more significant part of the story.
I think they will, because it's a convenient way to, like, visual shorthand of, oh, we're at the bad place now.
Yeah. Cut and paste those.
Even when they go back, I wouldn't be surprised if it doesn't look the same as it did this episode, though. The primary reason they went with this was cheapness, how cheaply they could produce it, making all the identical set pieces, and then just positioning them all next to each other. I wouldn't be surprised if by the time we have to go back to the Blight, they've got the money to do even more expensive stuff.
Well, it was
unexpected
as well.
I think something you just said is very, very valid. Because I mean, this is just my personal belief. I do think that there are 7 of these same buildings.
Like the eye, the
these 3. Okay.
And I think that production-wise, they're going to be able to use the same set over again and decorate it different.
Bill, what were you going to say?
I know they had the Blight completely different. They had it mapped out. They had the location, and then when the lockdown started, they had to last minute figure out what are we going to do for the Blight.
Yeah. Like,
that's why we got.
Yeah. Who's got a lot of styrofoam?
Was that the one where they were going to go to the Lara Silver?
Yes.
Yeah, in the Canary Islands or something.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
And at the last minute, they were told, nope, no entry. COVID.
And to a certain degree, this Blight did have a Goonies feel to it, with the little, roots dripping down that they have to go through. I don't know.
It wouldn't have looked as bad if it hadn't been one mold or whatever that they based, that they used to create each of these trees from. If they'd had 3 of them that each had differences, so they didn't look like exactly the same thing.
Well, I mean, to me, that's not as big a deal, because it's like the aspen forests here in Colorado. It's like they're literally clones, So that aspect of it didn't bother me so much. And it's like I'm just looking at it from the standpoint of what's the performance. I can kind of set aside a little bit of okay, we cheaped out on some of this production value because we just couldn't spend the money. As long as the performances are there, I'm engaged. And for me, both of them did well enough that I wasn't really even thinking about any of it.
Yeah. But I do hope, to your point, Jansen, I do hope that at one point they do revisit it, and there is an aggressive tree or 2. Something that lashes out, something that tries to actually grab them, that shows danger within, besides.
And I believe that they have plenty of different times.
Out of your face.
I believe they have plenty of time to revisit that too. There's so many times that they can go back and revisit it. I think that's going to be definitely.
Especially if we spend more time with the Forsaken.
Yes.
Absolutely. And, what we've come to in this point was we're starting to notice how much faster the story is going. They are pushing it very fast now because, we, as us readers, it took us 3 books just to get Rand to even admit that he was the DragonReader. Now he believes it, and he knows it. And, it took just as long. It took a long time for them to understand, for Ishmael to reveal himself and to start saying some of the things that he did. We got a ton of information from that. We know now that Bill and Luz Theron knew each other extremely well. We know that they, were, if not anything, maybe even friends or definitely colleagues back in the Age of Legends. He said a ton of things to Rand about his father. He said a ton of things to Rand about who he was and what power he may have or yield. There's a lot of things that they crammed in this episode to get it to go a lot faster. And one of those things that they're doing, this is kind of an off change, but I put this in my notes because I hope they get away from this. I'm just going to ask, please don't have people almost dying anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, plot armor sucks.
It doesn't work if it only works if you first kill off someone like don't want to bring up Game of Thrones, kill Ned Stark, and then all those cliffhangers are meaningful because you never know if it's really gonna happen.
Yes.
But right now everyone has so much plot armor. It's like, okay, come on now.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, the Nynaeve, golly. I mean, this is Lazarus stuff.
We'll get to that.
But they did kill
Dead.
Don't you
Not
remember
only
they killed
that-
off Senbui? Senbui got killed off.
Who cares about him? But you know, for me, it's
Poor
like
Bowie.
the whole thing in episode 4 where like you know Lan and everybody almost died, you know, but like nope, psych, they didn't die. But like even in just this one episode, it's like all of the almost deaths, you know, are fake outs because it was a dream, you know. It's just like no, like once is fine. Like when Moraine got stabbed and it was like, oh no, is Moraine dead? Oh no, it was a dream. But like, and then it's like, really? Okay, we got to stop doing this. Like, do
Well,
it once.
no, I'm okay with
You
dream
get one.
Dream
You get
deaths
one.
are fine. Dream
No,
Who
deaths
thinks
are fine.
Agamar is?
It's still
Who
a
thinks
fake
Lord
out.
Agamar is dead?
Loyal
We don't need
Agamar is
him.
dead.
Agamar's
bothers
dead.
me.
Well, we know Loyal's not
Exactly.
dead. The other than
That bothers me.
Should
Well,
be
but that's
entirely
another.
new.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like all these,
That's
like,
another one.
are they dead? You know, it's like, but I think that's also why they killed Stepan, so that you could have a character die that would tell the audience people can die without killing one of your characters that
If
you
they
love.
kill them, if they kill
But
themselves.
where's
Yeah.
the payoff for why couldn't we have Stepan have
right.
evolved into the next season? And there is no payoff for Stepan's.
Well,
Or
there's a
Stepan,
small payoff.
On the
Yeah, well,
second episode.
I mean,
Now,
Stepan
what-
obviously was created so that they could illustrate the Aes Sedai water bond and the consequences of that bond being severed. That
Yeah.
was the entire purpose of
Yeah, yeah.
Stepan, and it also served an additional purpose of, hey, let's have a dramatic death, you know, because we need to spice up this part of the story.
Later on, when we see later on when we see Aes Sedai die, we're going to understand what those guys are going through.
And
For me, I thought you have such great actors. Let them act that out. I think they're good enough to impress upon us all of that information.
I was also a little confused because of the bond being blocked. So I don't know if Moraine had died, if Lan would have felt it per se, because
Yeah.
he couldn't feel anything.
he would have, because masking the bond is not the same as the bond breaking.
I don't know if that was
The
clear,
absence of
I
a thing
guess.
can still be felt. So the absence of the bond would register.
Yeah. So, do you think he just knew where the eye was, or is he kind of like, Google Earthing?
No. He followed Nynaeve's instructions because, and here is probably the dumbest thing in the entire episode. Nynaeve tells Lan that Moiraine has a tell that she uses when tracking.
Yes.
Well, Marsu in
I'm
the
sorry.
chat said it was bags of corn chips.
I like that. Yeah.
Yeah, and Lan wouldn't have known that, Glenn.
That's awesome.
Lan for 20 years traveled with Moiraine and never noticed this tell. And yet Nynaeve sees this tell and knows right away that it's the party she's after and that it's Moraine's. And she's detecting this tell while Moraine's riding a horse not on the ground herself.
It's weird.
Tracking does not work like that.
Let's
Unless
see.
Moraine's tossing crackers or peanuts that the birds are ignoring.
Are you looking for
I can't
realism
think
in
of
your
any-
fantasy?
No, I expect somebody to actually,
doing?
when they write about characters tracking, to actually have it make some sense as
All right.
to how tracking works.
No, I
Well-
hear you. Hey, let's let him have his feelings and move on. It's
know.
like it's
The reality
it's
of it is,
The next
though,
scene- the next scene is a very, very important one to me because I think it's showing that they're taking something very, very big out of the books that they're going to not have in this show. Now, Nynaeve's block is very different in the books than it is here. And in this, they're almost implying now, in the next scene, we have Nynaeve and Egwene. And Egwene asks Nynaeve to listen to the wind. Nynaeve tells her that ever since she channeled, she can no longer hear the wind. And then what's even more interesting is that at the very next moment, Egwene opens herself up to listen to the wind and has somehow got that Nynaeve had in the book of listening to the world, I call it, instead of listening to the wind. And she says, and this is a direct quote also from the book, but in a different context. She says that she hears them just like she heard them coming in the Two Rivers, only if that was a whisper, this is a scream.
Mm-hmm.
So it's almost as if Egwene has that power from the book, and Nynaeve has it blocked somehow.
That is odd.
It makes sense in a way mentally, because the two Wisdom and Aes Sedai are in conflict in Nynaeve's mind, period.
Mm-hmm.
Those two things do not go together.
Yeah.
So if she embraces one, she has to lose something from another in her own mind. So that's what I took that as.
True.
Well,
Now, they
and-
did not say whether or not she was angry or not, but in this episode, she also opens herself up to this power.
Go ahead, Chauncey.
Well, I was going to say that to me, it's kind of like when Nynaeve realizes that what she had been doing her whole life was with the one power, that caused her to block that off because she was so resistant to the idea of the one power and being Aes Sedai that suddenly there's an inhibition there of something she had taken for granted her whole life.
Right. She can't get the two to merge.
Yeah.
They're separate in her
We
mind.
haven't seen Nynaeve have an anger block per se, and we saw her in the forest when the Galdon army was coming. She could not channel. She was panicked and she felt
she was
helpless.
afraid.
Yeah, she was scared.
The only times that we've seen her, it hasn't been anger, but it's been more desperation or passion that has sparked it, in my view. When she saved land, she wasn't angry.
No.
In my view.
I think that
Celeste Arranging
emotions
Sun.
are not that easy to just pour into a little container. It's okay, here's your little glass of anger, here's your little glass of desperation. I think that it's just an overwhelming, heightened emotional state. That
But that
see her
is
as being-
but that's a qualitatively different and narratively different thing than her anger block. And it was always clear she had to be angry, and she would make herself angry, and I think it was all kind of intertwined with her character. And I like that they're doing this. Having just an angry woman is a weird trope. Having
It's
someone
not
who
charismatic. It's not
it's been done to have someone who in a time of need to heal is somehow able to Super Sans. I liked it. I saw the difference.
I just think that we call things anger and fear that if you really thought about it, they would be a lot more similar than different. And
absolutely. Yeah.
As far as what's going on in your brain, if you were going to have some kind of functional MRI or whatever during an episode of you would not see a great deal of difference between any heightened emotional state, regardless of which of those little containers you tried to pour it into.
Mm-hmm.
I took it as her being angry because the thing that seems to anger Nynaeve the most is death.
And injustice.
She was and she was so angry at all these people, especially Lan, but all these people around her dying, that I definitely think that was angry.
But Glenn, she didn't channel at Winter Night. She channeled protecting people. She channeled both times. Her ferocious blooming was protecting people. It was first saving land. The second was in the ways.
And I think that's perfectly realistic.
She was too frightened.
But in the pools, when she fought a Trolloc, she didn't channel. She was angry.
But she was
She stole
also
the sword
fighting
and
for her
stabbed it.
own life, not someone else's.
Yeah.
Correct. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I think her impetus is going to be saving. I as of so far, that's what what channels her is saving someone else.
Yeah.
Per se,
Yeah.
I haven't seen her channel elsewhere besides trying to save the lives or mental well-being.
Nynaeve feels
Other people.
responsible for other people. Like, I think that's one of her
Right.
core character traits. And so, like, for her, just the feeling of powerlessness at the moment when Logain breaks open the cage, I think to her, you could call it anger, you could call it anything you want, but for her, it just like, it allowed her to access something inside of her to go like, no, you're not doing this,
Yeah.
And-
So
and
it is
so
a change, and I like it.
the
I like
implications are interesting. See how they're going to play that out for sure.
So moving on
And
to
Johnson,
the
I'm glad that you're not like tugging your braid too much in anger at us.
love it. So moving on to the next scene,
Oh no.
we have a possible Elida mention. So Moraine starts talking to Rand about the source and about the one power, and she refers to something that happened way back in New Spring, where an Aes Sedai came in and started beating her to help her learn how to channel better. I can only believe that would be Elida Sedai.
Yep.
That was my
And
thought.
Me too.
I am. It was a nice little reference to some other things that have happened in the earlier books. So we got that, and we also
Did you
got
call her
something
a formidable woman or something like that?
You said she was terrifying.
Terrifying. Yeah.
And, also talks a little about the one power. She tells Rand that he's going to be able to use it when he feels his life is in danger or at the brink. So that, in a weird sense, is kind of helping him and teaching him a little bit about the source, which in the book, they can't even do that. So a little different. She literally tells him she knows it's going to come, and it does. So we'll see how much they add to that, how much they break those, because I'm still not completely certain about the physics of the one power in the episodes yet. So we'll see.
I think it's evolving.
I think it's left vague on purpose.
Yeah, I think it is too. And after this scene, we get our Emmons Fielders minus Matt and Rand running into the bar where Min Farshaw works to ask her about anything that she might know about Rand that they don't. And Min doesn't get to tell them.
What'd you tell him?
Yeah. And Min doesn't get to tell them much because she automatically gets a vision of Nynaeve dying or in the midst of dying. So,
Well,
and
she also claims the HIPAA oath. She's like, "Hey, everyone's future's their own. Fuck off." You don't have to have
Well, I
rights.
mean, Min is Cassandra of Troy. Like, regardless of what she tells people, it's still going to happen. And they won't believe her anyway.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
they'll always think that there's some way they can escape their fate, and they can't. So she's like, why bother?
Right.
And hear the bells, and Baldara is about to be under attack, and the whole city is up at arms. And we get Lady Amelisa talking to Lord Aglamar, and then we get Uno, one of my most favorite characters from the book, cursing in pure Robert Jordan-esque style, which I have heard and read that we're going to get a lot of this from this character. He is going to be using the curses that they use in the
Flaming
show.
throat kisser.
Oh, he didn't die either? Huh.
Oh,
No.
no, he didn't die.
He wasn't in there.
These
He's
things
not even
suck.
on the ground.
Yeah, he wasn't. He's
You
not.
look.
Yeah,
Uno's
I don't
back
think Plot
on
and
the
Fane
ground
is
and
very good
everything.
at stabbing people. I'm just going to put that out there.
Well, he had two faded guys who
I know. It's like you've got.
heads of people.
Yeah, it's
but
like, how hard is
this
it to
time-
stab somebody? Yeah.
It's not hard.
For some reason,
I
I
don't
don't
know.
wasn't in there.
Yes. So I actually, just to say this, I like what they've done to Pat and Fane because he's not as stupid as he was in the books. He's
Yeah,
definitely
agreed.
more, he has more direction and more of he has more of a part in this than he does, I believe, in the books, because I believe in the books they didn't really know exactly what to do with him at some point.
And I don't think they had a plan for him from the beginning, and they just kind of like let him develop in the books as needed. It's like, oh well, let's bring Colin Thane back. You know,
Yeah.
like
He was the chaos Joker. Yeah.
He's far more
Like
sinister.
I believe, far more sinister. And in the books, by this time, the Fae him as a hound instead of being the representative that he is for the Dark One in the show.
So I hope,
and I like that.
My hope is that now that he has the dagger, he starts to turn into that feral creature, and I want to see that guy act in it.
I want more chaos from him as well.
Yeah.
Oh, Johan's good. Johan's very good.
He is really good.
Really, really good.
And I want him slipping in and out of accents. I want it all.
Yeah, they picked a good
yeah. I want Pat and Faye to be
Ordith.
crazy AF and not this kind of like slick mastermind. I want him falling apart all the time.
I want him to win something, because like in the books, I just don't feel like he's just like a menacing presence, and he doesn't actually ever really win
everywhere too. He's like the little Hoyd right now.
Yeah,
it just pops up everyone.
Yeah, so now
about this
time, on the show we've got everybody in panic. We've got Rand and Moraine seeing the army from the Blight going to the Gap. We've got the Foldarans preparing for war. We've got the women getting weapons and everything, and we also get a very quick part of Moraine's, mental and just the fiber of who she is. We get Moraine, Rand asking Moraine, if you come down here with me, are you going to die? And she fully knows, at least believes that she is, and shows Rand that she's willing to die for this, that she's willing to give her life to help him win and to help him do. Now, we also get, later on, we're going to see that she was wrong. And that shows me, that the Aes Sedai, just like in the books, they don't know everything.
No one does.
No one does.
Yeah.
No, I mean,
and so
I do.
I mean, yeah, I was going to say I do, but come on.
And we also get Lan aimlessly wandering through, looking, and he gets to see the Seven Towers, and we get the stoicism of him seeing his place of his birth, and that's something I'm glad I got to see. But then they do something that I don't like, and me, guys, I seldom say that there's something I don't like about it. Seldom. But we get, a little small scene with Lord Agelmar and Lady Amelisa, and they kind of imply that he's a dark friend. Very quickly, when he pulls the dagger off of his father's armor, very quickly, for a split second, they kind of try to show that he's going to kill her.
Oh, I didn't get that at all.
I didn't get that either.
I did.
Mm-hmm.
I did.
Yeah. I'll have to go watch
and
that.
I think they were trying to foreshadow that he may be a dark friend.
That's interesting, Jansen. They also mentioned that 2 of the drawbridge ropes had been cut, and they're like, "There's a dark friend here." They're like, "Oh."
I don't think it's Agelmar. I really don't. I think he's dead.
Who is it?
Him and Amelisa are like. Well, I think it's Ingtar.
Yeah.
We just don't have it.
One we know.
No, they're gonna make Uno Ingtar.
And that being said,
no, Ingtar is in season 2. I think.
Is he?
Yes, he is. And that being said, the actor that we had playing Lord Yamada in this show was actually cast as Lord Ingtar, but he got a better gig in the show Willow as a principal actor and moved on to there.
Nice.
So that's why we have a new casting for Ingtar.
Yeah, and it's a different character altogether. Like, they just decided Yamada is, you say tomato, I say Yamada. So,
yes.
And
is that the guy with the beard?
I don't remember what
the guy with the beard. Yes, he's in Willow now.
So that's okay.
Yeah, he was originally going to play Lord Ingtar. So now we're back in the Eye when Rand sees this symbol. Now, this symbol they talk about all the time because it is the ancient symbol of Aes Sedai. And I have some thoughts about this. Like I said before, I believe that there are 7 of these buildings. They talked about these buildings. Rand asked Moraine, what is this place? And she said they have no idea because all of the history about it was purged from the White Tower by Dark Friends.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Now, I believe...
So, differing from the book, Moraine has never been here.
Yes. Never, ever, ever been here. And I believe that's because in the book, the seals for the Dark One were hand-sized, discs that had the symbol of the Aes Sedai.
A coaster set.
Coasters.
Right, coasters, yeah.
I think that there are 7 buildings.
Ashtrays. They are Aes Sedai ashtrays.
I think that there are 7 buildings with those symbols that big all throughout the world, and because of the breaking, they can't find them anymore. I believe that some people may know about them. I actually think there's going to be one in the waste. And the reason I think because these symbols were made of Quindiar, just like the ones that were made in the book. So I think that makes me believe that there are 7 of these, and those are the seals to the Dark One's prison.
I agree with you, Jansen. I think those are the seals. Are these big floor mosaics or whatnot? Are the seals instead of handheld?
Would one of them be at the Stone of Tear?
Possibly.
Good question.
Yeah. I think they'll just be Aes Sedai symbol in the floor that is hidden in plain sight.
Right, here's my question, real quick. Do we think that what Rand did, getting tricked in this one, is going to affect all the other ones? Are they all weakened because of that, or does Ishamael have to use some sort of power source to be able to produce as much power as Rand did?
Well, see, I think now there's a crack in the seal. I think
the circuit has been disrupted.
Yeah.
And the Forsaken. I think that it was enough to release the Forsaken, but not enough to release the Dark One. So they have to break open all the others in order to release the Dark One. But that's a much bigger undertaking. Because
do you think
as
it was
the circle gets smaller, it gets stronger in each individual part.
Mm.
Was it clear that this was not the Dark One and was a Forsaken instead?
No, because Moraine still believes he is all the way to the end of this episode. They Moraine, when she is talking to him, she believes. I think the word Ishmael isn't even part of Fair Spares yet. I believe that they think this is the
right. Right, and, we are calling him Ismail because we know book canon.
We know.
Show
more.
Watchers have any idea that this is maybe a Forsaken at all?
Well, if they've seen the teaser, they do.
My wife doesn't. She has no clue, and she's like, "Yeah, that's a Dark One." I'm like, okay,
yeah,
right,
okay, yeah.
And if you're gonna cast somebody as a Dark One, he's perfect.
Oh, he's awesome. Rand,
but
his
shirt looks like he's a waiter. He looks like he has an apron. He looks like he's
but he still
a
delivered
really nice Italian.
Perfectly. Regardless of his wardrobe issue,
yeah,
I agree.
Oh, he was great.
He looks like a maitre d' or something. Yeah,
Brother Dan, you mentioned that that in the Age of Legends, Leaf Theron was wearing black, Latron Passe was wearing white, and then you said, but then the Dark One. Or right now, Ishamael was wearing black and white. What is
He's wearing white with a black coat. So
what is the significance of that? What do you?
I don't think there is any.
I think there might be. Actually, I think that these are conscious choices, and I think that this might be a thought that that his the whiteness is tainted with an overcoat kind of thing.
Or maybe they're setting up a redemption arc for Ishamael.
Or he just doesn't like monochromatic outfits. I'm willing to accept that.
And now we see, remember, because Rand even remembers fighting here. You see the ghost impressions of Leaf Theron confronting who Rand says is the Dark One. So all of Rand's memories from the Age of Legends obviously aren't all there yet. Because he thinks, just like Moraine, that this is the Dark One. And even when Rand gets pulled simultaneously into the world of his little world of dreams, and the Dark One is out there talking to Moraine. Moraine tells him, I know that you need him, what you need to do. You're still locked here. So she is referring to him as the Dark One. I don't think that she knows anything else yet.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did you
I
see
agree.
this thing in chat where DKmoon says, I don't think enough evidence to reasonably infer that there will be 7 seals in the show, maybe just be 1 seal that is slowly breaking open?
That might be true. Because
And they all pour out like a clown car.
well,
Did
because
you
the
notice how
one
many
thing, that,
cracks were in it at
Oh,
the
gosh.
end?
one thing that we do know is there are 7 cracks in that seal.
Right. So
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
So you're right. I mean, he's right. Okay,
I
so
might say
now
wrong.
we get to the point where they're blending some things from the books into the reality of the show, because when Ishmael pulls Rand into this little dream sequence, this has a lot of similarities to one of the books where Egwene is taking her test for acceptance.
Yeah.
yeah.
And we see the baby.
Joya.
Yeah, Joya. And they took that from that part. And I find it shows how much power the guy who they think is the Dark One is right now, that he can not only bring Rand into this dream and interact with him, but he can also be in the real world at the same time interacting with Moraine.
Right.
Correct.
So they show
Correct. We
that's
haven't
a
seen
lot
that
of power.
before in the books.
Yes, that's a lot of power.
Mhm.
The only thing close that we see that in the books is when Egwene is being taught by the wise ones how to be in a kind of trance on her horse,
Mhm,
still
mhm.
being told right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah, that half dream
Just
state.
sleeping awake. Yeah.
Yes. So
And maybe that's just the first step on doing what she's
Again-
doing here.
Yeah. Again,
Because they-
speaking of acting, man, Rand killed it in this dream sequence.
oh my God, you see the
Golly.
intoxicating, how the takes you, how you it like feels you, and then the taint you still want it. Like it was shown very well.
Mhm.
And I do have to
Mhm.
say, from the very beginning, I like what they're doing to show the taint in the source with the black smoke and the white smoke.
Yeah.
I think that was a very, very good choice. It shows the taint, and it doesn't do it too hard. So I like that a lot.
You need a visual
that-
cue. Otherwise, it makes no sense.
Absolutely.
Uh-huh.
Now, the next scene is one of my. I don't like it because of production, because of what happened, because of COVID. So we have the Shinarans riding for the Gap.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Oh
And-
yeah.
Riding
Yeah.
for their defensive
Yeah.
wall.
Yes.
The
Now,
band-
what the show is 19 horsemen, and they want it to look like an army. And it was done very, very, very quickly.
There's dozens of us. Let's go.
And so you've got 20 horsemen, 20 horsemen riding to face 10 to 20,000 Trollocs and Fades.
And then
Yeah.
they just park and go into their little building.
Yeah, and then they break off in fives and go into the Gap, and then you
Well,
see
they
the
had foot
computer
troops
generated
behind them.
boxes.
Like, why are you charging your own defenses? I don't get that.
I hope
From
that-
behind.
I have to believe that is a COVID and budget
Yeah.
issue that they are
Yeah.
definitely going to fix.
Plus,
Well,
all
and
the
I think-
generals are just waiting for the soldiers to fail before they help. They're like, all right,
Yeah.
the king's dead. What is it? Plan B.
Well, and I think a lot of the issues that we have with this episode are, oh no, we have to completely change our plans for this episode, and we don't have a lot of time, and we need to get it written. So, like the whole thing of like she has a tell, that was we just need to get land.
Absolutely.
It's like we don't
Absolutely.
have time to
Mm-hmm.
belabor this and really finesse it the way it needs to be. We just need to get him there. It's just like this was
They
a
could've just
mother of
skipped-
necessity.
Well,
Yes.
a
They
Egwene
could have
healing
skipped
wasn't
that
supposed to
entire
happen.
sequence.
You
Yeah.
have to like show at least some kind of point A to point B. Otherwise, it's like, why did Land just suddenly spontaneously show up in the Blight?
We already
you know-
had established them looking out there, talking about going to it. Then you could have just had them go from there to now they're coming in the back side of it. You don't need to
Coulda,
show
woulda, shoulda.
19 horses. You don't need 19 horses.
Well, the
and
thing
then
is, yeah.
CPI 1,000 guys to charge.
Yeah, sure.
You could have
Yeah.
just had them there or had them shuffling in the back gates.
Yeah.
They
Let
didn't
me,
need the horses there.
And now,
Let me
even though I
ask you
didn't,
more.
Most money.
yeah, and even though I
Let me
didn't
ask-
like that
Oh,
part,
go ahead.
go ahead.
Let me ask a more pertinent question: Is if Matt Barney Harris, let's say, what would his role have been in any of this?
interacting with
nothing.
Perrin.
Yeah.
He
Matt
would
everything
have
Perrin was doing.
Nothing.
No,
Hey.
Perrin would have done more than nothing because, like, Matt would have done everything that Perrin does.
Yeah. Yes.
And then
Right.
Perrin would have just been like, "Hi, I'm just here." Yeah.
I think the missed opportunity with Perrin is what bothered me the most about this episode.
That's what
Yeah.
bothered me the most about this whole
Honestly,
season.
Yeah, I agree
Yeah.
with that definitely. What I
And I feel bad for him because I felt that his acting performance was kind
Really
of the
good.
worst.
I thought he was, for what he was
no,
given. Yeah, I thought he
Yeah,
did
I
fine, but
disagree.
like he
I
just
di- I
didn't
didn't.
have enough to do.
yeah, I think it was
like
maybe
what is the leaf? What's that? And I wish that we had fleshed that out a little bit too, because he's just like, what are we doing? Just sitting around, and Ogier's like, well, let's just go ask. What the fuck? And he's like,
which
oh.
I did like because that is exactly what Loyal would say and do.
Yeah.
yeah, it was
Yeah.
on brand.
Like I think that this actor encapsulates the
But
true-
I don't know what Matt would have done at all in this episode.
Well, he would have shivered a lot, and
he would have
looked
saw
at
the horn of Alir that was destined for him to blow.
Yeah.
He would have seen that.
Well, and he would have seen the dagger, his precious, get.
Yeah, he would have felt the dagger.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
And,
Yeah.
So, and
No,
even though I
guys,
didn't like-
guys. Later on, we're just gonna get that great scene when Loyal and Rand sneak into a camp and get the dagger back.
Yeah, and just run away.
The 8-foot tall Ogier and Rand just sneaking in.
And
like,
Rand just jumps on his back and is like, go. And they just run real fast. He's like,
Anyway.
no, they're good. They're good. We're good.
Which I think, you know what? I'll tell you something. I don't think we're going to get that, but I do think that we're going to get, because I don't think they're going to know Rand's alive for a while. And I think that when Rand is going through the forest ahead of Perrin and them, and the wolves tell Perrin about Shadow Killer, I think that might be a really impactful moment on this, because they're going to be like, well, who is Shadow Killer? And then he's going to start putting things together. So,
Oh yeah.
the wolves know a lot.
I
So,
like that.
yeah, I think that that's going to
play
happen.
really well.
And even though I didn't like how they did the Shannon men going towards Tarn's Gap and everything, I happen to like a lot what they did with the women in Faldara.
Yeah,
like
they're badass.
I like how everybody, as border men and women, it was all of them. Not the women didn't huddle up and hide, waiting for the men to fight.
Right.
They helped get which is what you would think people in the borderlands would do.
And it's what they did in the Two Rivers in the first
exactly.
episode.
And so then
They're setting up big
preparing for war.
crossbows.
I like that. And then right after that, of course, we get men fleeing Faldara, and as book readers, we know exactly where she's going. As far as the books go, we believe Min is
TV,
headed
baby.
towards Tarvalon. Yeah, she's going to Tarvalon. Because there's so much in her story where she needs to be there now to interact with a few people. And see Nynaeve and Egwene again, and meet Elaine, her,
And become instant BFFs.
yeah,
You look
instant
fun. You look
FFs,
fun. Let's all be best friends.
all that, you get
Oh, hug. Oh,
And,
I love you. I love
Falling
you.
in love because he fell in your garden.
yeah. And now I'm on the fence and in a quandary, because now we go into some crazy changes. We get the Horn of
Yep.
Alir. We get the Horn of Alir. Everyone knows where it is. So this
Well, not anymore.
Well, this brings a lot of things to me that they're going to take out. So, are they even going to have a call for the horn in Ilion? Are they going to have hunters of the horn?
Well, maybe they're. Wait. Maybe it's like, oh my God, the horn's missing, and then they call and everyone goes looking for it. Like Adam Payne starts
that's
it,
the
That
hunt,
may
but,
be the hunt of the horn. Because
Yeah.
I'm wondering how they were going to do that when
right?
people have been years looking for it. Did a few people know? They just knew about it, and there's no way. So
Well, I got the impression that only the elite people in
I did get that impression.
knew that the Horn of Valir was under Agelmar's throne. Like that's like I kind of thought it was like a very inner circle kind of secret.
Well,
Yeah.
but
We
then
know-
Perrin and Loyal show up, and they're like, "Grab a pickaxe."
Yeah, but then
Well, at
before
that
they
point-
walk in, they do say when they walk in, I thought the doors were supposed to be closed. Like, this is a private meeting. They say
Well, and
They're
at
like,
that point, it
Lord,
doesn't
Lord,
matter
Lord.
if they find out where the Horn of Valir had been.
You mean they literally forgot to close the door?
Yes, I forgot
That, what? There's no dark friend Ogier, Jansen.
No, there isn't.
Yes, no dark Ogier.
Really, Jansen? There's no
Yeah,
dark friend
no.
Ogier?
Not that
I don't think they can
No.
be dark friends in the
They-
same way that setting don't touch Tel Arin Riyadh. I just think that the shadow can't affect Ogier.
Well, sure affected Loyal's stomach there.
I mean, that was a blade. Like I don't think they're
Wielded
immune
by a
to like.
shadow friend, so
Well, but what I'm saying is the shadow itself.
I know. I get you.
yeah.
Okay, so and then right after that, we get Nynaeve and Egwene joining the fight with Amelisa and a few other channelers. Now, this obviously did not happen in the book. We do see Nynaeve and Egwene. She tells them to open yourself to the source we're going to link. We don't see anything about linking for a very long time in the books.
Correct.
And we get it right here. Now, I do, even though this was a big change, I do believe that there needed to be channel because there was in the books, and we know that Rand wasn't there. But weirdly enough, Rand was in two different places like he was in the books, just there and in the world of dreams.
And Jansen, I think that the show could have done that.
I think they could
I
have.
think the show could have ran just fuel, and then boom, it just happened from him.
But is that better than what we got?
I think so.
Why?
I think so.
Why is that better?
Well,
Because
one reason
we
why.
have three. Go ahead, Jansen.
One reason is that they needed to make Egwene a healer because of that scene, which is complete variation from the books. She was not very good at healing at all in the
That
books.
wasn't
Yeah,
script.
no.
And
That
They
wasn't
could've-
in the original script. They had to change that because of
Yeah.
COVID.
yeah,
What was supposed to happen is that Nynaeve was injured grievously. Egwene was going to use wisdom skills that she learned from Nynaeve to bring her back, but due to COVID, they got restricted on how much time they
damn
could
it.
be on set, and that's when they condensed it and said we're going to have her healer.
that makes
I
sense.
can't wait. I honestly can't wait till we can't say because of COVID.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Honestly.
But I
See-
mean, it is what it is.
Yeah,
I'm not a-
no.
I don't object to the sequence there of having the 5 women. I don't object to that. The only thing I object to that, and that was the whole necessity they saw of making the one power do damage and burn you out when you're in a circle, which, yes, that's a contradiction from the books, but that's making it a metaphysics change, not something that can be brushed aside by another turning of the wheel.
Well,
That's a
True.
fundamental
Well-
difference in the way the one power works on
I
the
think-
show.
Yeah, I
from the
don't
book.
think their
important
eyes
to
burnt
remember
out.
she wasn't fully trained, and they made that clear. She was
Yeah.
not fully trained. She didn't know what
Wasn't.
she was doing. It was not a proper circle. She didn't know how to do it.
Yeah, she couldn't handle it. I mean,
So I'm
that's
okay
right.
with what happened as far
Um,
as them burning out.
Yeah.
Somebody
And
who
the show
doesn't
did a
know what
really
they're
good
doing,
job of showing a lot more of the power going through
Yes, it did.
Egwene and Nynaeve
It did do that.
than those other
It
scrubs.
did do that.
They did do that.
Well,
So-
and I just think you can't.
One of which was Lan's friend's wife. That was who Lan
Yes.
and Nynaeve had dinner
Yes,
with the
one
night
of them
before.
was the Malkiri woman. Yes, they even show Nynaeve look at her when they get there.
I didn't make that connection.
Yes, she was one of the Malkiris. Yes, and right after that, we get the Piran and Loyal conversation. But going quickly back, we go to Teleron Riyadh, and we get something else that's even more interesting. We get the Dark One, basically teaching Rand the Flame and the Void.
Right.
Right.
which is something that Tam did in the books, and that's very interesting. I thought that so, and he also teaches him how to open up to the source. So that tells me, are we going to get an Asmodean, or is he one of the Nixes?
I think we'll absolutely get Asmo.
Got to get Asmo.
Or a female, or as we talked earlier, and they left it open either on purpose or not, a female can teach a male how to channel.
That
No.
See,
we're going to get Asmodean.
See, I thought they may also have Logain teach Rand.
That's probably more likely.
That's what I thought. I was like, you know what? They've already got a guy. They're moving things up quickly.
Yeah.
It's very possible.
Really big actor.
Yeah, it's very possible that Nynaeve cures Logain when she goes back to the tower, and Rand meets up with him somehow. I thought that that's a possibility.
Or they could keep it. They could keep it as Forsaken, teaching him to have Tame Andred do it.
Nah. There's no reason to get rid of Asmodean, because Asmodean is one of the Forsaken that has a personality. Like, if they're gonna edit out the Forsaken, Belal, Balthamel, Argnor, gone. Samael could even just go, because he's just Demon Dread Light.
Yeah.
Ravine.
A lot of
Right. If that person we saw at the Eye of the World was Damodred, I'm fine with that.
No, I'm sure that was a Shamael, but
I just hope
you could combine Belal, Ravine, Samael, and Demon Dread into one character so easily, because they're all basically wannabe kings who are jealous of Luceren. So just make them one character.
Because he's so much taller.
Well, they have the Mirror of Mist. It's very possible one guy could be 3 different people on the show. So,
we don't even need them all, because what does Samael even ever do? He's just I don't like Luceren.
He fucks.
Belal literally exists so that Moraine can just gank him and have an awesome moment. So I want
Belal
that.
is without a doubt the most non-consequential rival.
He's a one-scene wonder, and Alganor and Balthamel are the same, and we've already moved past the point where they would have come in. Goodbye.
We get plenty of them in later books. Don't forget
that's Ulfgar
and Helena. We get those. I don't care about the two Bonnies, but the characters, the personas,
we don't need
get rid of them.
We especially don't need Jashiva. Jashiva is useless.
Up to this point, we've seen a lot of changes, and we've seen a lot of things that are not in the show that we have in the books. Specifically, some objects that up till now we've seen in the books, but we haven't seen on the show. We see the Horn of Al'ir, but we don't. Well, and we do see some kind of seal to the Dark One. But what we don't see is Lews Therin Telemon's flag, his
the Dragon Banner
flag, his Dragon Banner. We don't see that. And there's something else that we don't see that I was sure they were going to take out of this long ago. We have not seen Piran's axe.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I honestly, because he picked up an axe. Or a halberd, actually, it was in this episode, but there's no axe, and that also tells me
Amazon voiceover did refer to it as an axe.
Okay, picks up an axe, but it's not the one made by Master Luhan.
I think we're getting.
We don't know if there's even going to be a Luhan in this.
Do we need them?
Might be gone.
Do we need them?
I think we'll get an axe in season 2 because we get Elias. And I think that's where the axe is going to come in.
If we get Luhans, if we get Senbui, or whoever, it'll be when Perrin goes back to the Two Rivers. We don't need them before that.
It might not be Piran who goes back, though.
Why wouldn't it be?
Because there's everything.
They're changing everything.
Matt is the only one right now who has any stakes back there.
It's
his weirdo family.
He wants to go help his
sisters.
sisters.
I mean, Piran has no ties there anymore.
His weirdo
wife
family.
Is dead. I don't know if there's no Luhans and there's no Piran family. Why would he go back?
He does have
Well,
a
but we
veil.
don't know that he doesn't. We don't know
Yeah.
that they don't exist.
That's what I'm
Totally.
saying.
Yeah.
But we haven't seen the Luhans at all, and that's a huge point of why he would go back.
Right. I'm assuming
Matt
no.
has every reason.
Perrin and his wife own that forge, I would think.
And Matt wants to go back. You know, we've heard him say it more than once in the earlier episodes. He was trying to go back home.
That's why he's
I
not
agree.
going to go back, because he wants to.
Yeah, it could be. Yeah, that's true. Matt never gets what he wants. That's true.
But I mean, but Perrin and Rand are now separated. And we shall see. I mean, so Egwene is probably going to go to the White Tower. Is Perrin going to follow? Or
Perrin's
is he
going to
gonna go back
follow.
home?
I think Perrin's going to follow the horn with the Shinarans.
Yeah.
Okay.
Season 2
Well,
Sizzler
That's
shows
how
him
he meets Elias. You know, he's going to learn
Okay.
about the wolves that way. I have to think that that's how that's going to work out. Elias is going to be the sniffer, but he's going to be a sniffer in disguise because the wolves tell him everything. And I think that he's going to teach Perrin.
Yeah, because we don't have Rand going with them, you know, because Rand's off doing whatever. So they're probably going to just slot Perrin into that story.
And that's going to take away that's going to take away production standpoint. They're going to save money because Rand, Loyal, and Huron don't have to go to that weird world.
No portal stones.
There are no portal stones, so they don't really need, you know, certain things because of that. And I think that Elias, this whole trip with the horn is going to be mostly Perrin learning what he can do and what his powers are as far as that journey. And I think that they're somehow all going to meet up in the West, and they're going to all have different reasons of being there. Just like in the books, just differently.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're all going to end up in Tyr. So,
Well, I think we all know that Egwene will be in the West for a certain reason.
Yeah.
And we believe, you know, it's in the books, it was Leandra and Sedai who took her there. So it's a possibility because after this, you know, in the books, Leandrin really doesn't need to be in the White Tower anymore. After all this, so we think that see them once, take them, and then not be back anymore.
I think what'll happen is either Leandrin will die next season or the season after, or they will have her slot in for Galena in later stories and just get rid of Galena.
That I wouldn't mind.
Yeah.
Would not mind
I
that at
can
all.
see her being Elida.
No,
I can see
I
her
think
being
Really
the
bothered by that.
new Aes Sedai.
I think Elida needs to be a separate character because I
Absolutely.
think that like Leandrin is more of a field agent and Elida is more of a White Tower politician, you know, and I think Leandrin makes a lot more sense as being the traveling, you know, red Aja meanie head, whereas Elida needs to be, yeah.
I'll bet you a cocktail at a con. When
That
this
I'm right or that I'm wrong?
That you're wrong, that I'm right, that they're going to keep Leandra and she's going to be the focus of power because she is such a fantastic.
Okay, so all right, so here's the thing. So
way.
if
No way.
Leandrin becomes Elida at the White Tower, I buy you a cocktail. If Leandrin becomes Galena, you buy me a cocktail.
Yep.
And we have it on tape.
Yep.
We do.
Yeah. Tape. Yeah.
I'm old.
I mean,
Yeah.
I could just destroy it with scissors.
Is this beta or VHS?
All right, Jansen, let's start wrapping it up, right?
Yeah, I thought it was filmed.
So we get some other big changes, like we already talked about Egwene being able to heal, you know, and we also get the fact that Moraine was wrong about the Eye of the World, along with Siwan, that everyone who went there was not going to die. So we know that there are some changes, and I think they did that specifically so they know, and Moraine knows that things are going to be different, that this was just the beginning. They show that the seal was made of Quindiar, which is the reason why I believe there's 7 of them. I mean, I even think that one of the Shanshin, they brought their homes and things with them on the Hylene, and I think that they may have one of them, Lord Turok, has a giant tile that he puts in his room, and that's there. I believe that Doman's selling tiles, and he has one in his boat. I believe like all that. That's what I think, but who knows?
Oh wow.
Oh
wow.
You know, so I mean, that's just what I think. I think that's how they're going to find him. But
I think Hearthstone is the new unobtainium.
But yeah, so we get, Moraine at the end still thinks she tells Lan that she can't channel anymore. We know that, the child tied her off. Didn't still her, but tied her off from the source. She said, I can't reach.
Well, we assume, we don't know unless Rafe spilled the beans, but we don't know. As of right now, she does not assume that she is going to channel anytime soon.
We don't. But what we did see, we saw the Dark One kind of tying her up with his fingers. Now, what I really like is because back in when we first saw the first entrance of Swan Sanche as she was a child, one of the things she was really, really, really good at was undoing knots. So I think she had something to do possibly with helping Moraine get out of this.
Interesting.
Just
Moraine, huh? Or instead of Nynaeve.
Trying to help her save her. But we also get Rand leaving alone, starting his journey to start learning about what he can do and what he is. And then we finally get the Shanshan, which is a very big ending. And they are on the Hylene, and they're coming to, take over and come back and take what's theirs. What I don't like about this scene is I do think the little girl should have been an old man. Because, damn, you're going to just kill off the girl with this gigantic wave. This poor little girl, all she's doing is picking up shells. Now, we did get a ton of information from this very small scene. And what I did like was on the mast, there was a three-eyed lion.
Lopar. Yeah.
So they have the Lopar. Now, whether or not they're going to be alive, I don't know. Maybe that's just a symbol, but we did. And we saw the Gray Damani, and we saw the Soldan. And we saw all of the regalia from the different masks, and these people look very, very, very intimidating. And I do like that because in the books, they were extremely intimidating to me. And to everyone else.
Right.
And I liked I liked that part, other than the wave killing that poor little girl. But who knows? Maybe in the opening of the next season, they save her somehow.
No, Rafe said she had it coming.
Yeah. But, she was just one of many people along that shoreline who was just wiped out by their tidal wave.
Nope.
If
you look at it, I looked at it, Shantani. There is a huge cliff behind this girl. She must have walked a mile to get to the middle of that beach. I know. There are no houses. There's a 400-foot cliff there in a little beach. That wave did nothing but kill that girl.
Maybe they live in the cliffs, in the cave.
The wave was miles and miles up and down the coastline. It wasn't just we saw there.
Maybe the girl
went that way
or saves herself and gets shackled.
Oh.
She was nowhere near civilization.
No, also she creates like a little bubble around herself.
We didn't see above the top of that cliff or more than about 100 yards either end. We saw a very small section of land. We can't make any determinations about what was there and not there. Where that water.
That drone shot was mostly cliff.
Other than her.
Tiny dot. And
she is now a wet stain on the side of that cliff.
She knows what she did.
Crab food.
It's a funny.
Crab food.
In closing this episode, I want to tell everyone and all the people listening and watching this, yes, a lot of us, especially us book readers, were not happy completely with some of the changes and some of the things that they did with this episode. We do now know some of the reasons why. And we know some of the things that they had to fight and to, some of the adversity that they had with making this production. But they still did everything they could to get it out for all of us.
Yeah, and I would like to clarify that it's not just, for me, it's not the quote-unquote changes that I had an issue with. It was some of the choices that they made, regardless of whether it was a change or not.
And that seems to be a lot of everyone, and that seems to be a lot of people's same gather from this, and I agree with you.
Watching the second watch to me was much more enjoyable on every one of these episodes, including
well.
this one. I was really into Yosha's acting. I was really into Rosamund's acting. I was down with them. I was really engaged with what was going on without the baggage of book canon in my head. You know, the first viewing, I was like, well, that's fucked. That's fucked. But now I'm like, you know, on second viewing, I'm just able to more enjoy the choices. And the scene at the Eye of the World, I really enjoyed.
I liked it the first time I saw it. I really liked it.
I thought it was funky and esoteric. And the ending, by the way, the ending of the Eye of the World is not clear at
It's terrible.
all.
I don't like it.
Not at all.
I wish that this one was a little bit more clear, but it's equally as esoteric. It's open-ended, you know.
Well, and for me, like, I have criticisms of the show, but I also have criticisms of the book. So it's just like,
right.
Any piece of art is going to let you actually engage with. You're going to have some thoughts about, and that's okay. But like, you know, like for me, they exist as two separate things. And yes, the one informs the other. But like, whatever happens in the show, as long as it maintains its own consistency and it makes good choices within the world it's creating, I'll be fine. Like, it doesn't have to be like, it doesn't have to follow the book's chapter and verse to me. Like, and it never did, you know. It's only if it, because like all of the things that I take issue with in the show are things where I just don't feel like it's staying true to its own internal logic that it's creating.
Yeah, and I like that point.
Okay, so now we're going to do really quickly, guys, an extra 5 minutes.
Yeah, hey, wait, Mom, 5 more minutes. It's called. Wait, Mom, five more minutes. What if you had 5 more minutes to add to this, not change things, but to add a scene? What would you choose to do? I'll go ahead and start because I have mine in my head. I would have liked to have seen the Shanshan take a vessel over in the sea and be still mysterious, but aggressive, and be looking for women per se to show this force coming. And then when they show up on here, we have at least seen them before in the scene. That's my 5 more minutes if I could.
My 5 more minutes would have been this. I would have liked, after the whole fight at Faldara and everything happened, I would love a soldier to have walked in to the court of Faldara with a package and saying, "This, I found this after the fight," and it was the banner. Lews Theron's banner. I would have, because I think that, you know, it would have been appropriate for those bordermen, those borderlanders, to see that. I mean,
I have mine.
Yeah, go. All right, who's next?
I'll go next. My 5 minutes is we are at the Pit of Doom in Shyle Ghul, and we see the Forsaken opening their eyes and looking at each other, and that kind of stuff. And just a little bit.
I do think we're going to get a scene like that, but that would have been awesome.
Yeah. But that way, because like that was the whole point of the Shanshan scene, was like, ooh, bad stuff's happening. But like, if you see the Forsaken awakening, then it's like, oh no, not only do we have these bad boat people, but we have like these other bad people,
One of them has to look at their watch and say, how long have we been out?
What year is this, bro?
The one I'd go with is, it would have to break the COVID restriction, but I'd like to see that herbalism healing, wisdom style healing of Nynaeve as done by Egwene. The original idea.
I would have loved to see that. That'd have been great.
Bill, what you got?
I would have liked to have seen the coastal city seeing the wave coming, and then maybe a shadow of toe rocking coming over them, and we see the shadow of the toe rocking just going across the land.
Oh,
That would have been awesome.
Nice.
Because you're going to be like, what the hell is that?
People would have been like,
Dragon?
dragons!
Exactly.
It,
And they would
it
have
wouldn't
tuned
look
in
like
and
the
been
shot.
like, nope, toe rocking.
How about you?
Oh my god!
Hermano?
Yeah,
it would-
seeing
For me, it would have been more Land's journey to find Maureen instead of like exit stage left.
Would he been looking for that
the
weird-
corn
Picking
nuts?
up the bags of corn
The
nuts.
corn nuts,
Yeah,
yeah.
the bags of corn.
All
He's
right,
like,
let's-
why didn't I ever think of this before?
Okay.
Right,
Oh,
yeah.
let me before I go, because I do have to go soon. Remember, we got some sponsorship to talk about.
Yeah.
Oh, oh, I wasn't ready for that. I am now.
Way the Leaf are proud to be partnering with Tourist Hat Coffee Company. Tourist Hat Coffee Company is a family-owned business with a strong belief in giving back to the community. Tourist Hat Coffee Company is a social purpose business whose mission is to bring people the absolute best in small batch coffee while supporting children at home and around the world. And if you go to touristhatcoffeecompany.com and use the promo code LEAF2022, you'll get 5% off your entire order. We hope Tourist Hat Coffee Company becomes your family's coffee of choice. Remember, a part of each order goes to an amazing charity and helps allow us to continue doing this show each and every week. So go to touristhatcoffeecompany.com and use promo code LEAF2022 and receive 5% off your entire order.
All right, and add to that.
MaTsDaGger, you've tried Taurus Hat, right?
Absolutely. Yes, delicious.
And what are your thoughts?
Oh, I loved it. I got the what were the beans? I've already finished them, so I ordered another one a couple days ago. So
Attaboy, boy.
Tanzania, I
dark
think
roast.
there's Costa Rica, there's
Costa Rica, that's what I had.
Okay.
Beautiful.
Yeah, I finished
Yeah,
that
it's a
one. I just ordered a dark roast, so I'm really looking forward to that one.
I
you
think
are
they
a
added dark roast because of we asked for it, Ryan.
I know,
They
isn't
didn't
that
have a
amazing?
dark roast.
No,
Isn't that awesome?
Mistress Dovie, right? All right, so and now let's our second sponsor is Village Mattress. We are proud to announce to the Wheeltime community that you no longer have to suffer from a restless night of sleep in your life again. Remember back in the days when you were reading the Wheeltime for the first time and you lost tons and tons of sleep? You told yourself it was because the books were so great, but it was actually your mattress sucks. Guys, our friend Village Mattress wants to help all Wheel-Timers get the best night's sleep, and he's offering viewers of our show and fans across the Wheel-Time community an exclusive deal. He is offering 30 to 50% off an entire order of Maloof products. You'll see that on his website.
50% off!
It's insane. Some conditions may apply, as certain retailers do not allow discounts like Tempur-Pedic. But if you want a new mattress, you want some bedding, you want some sheets. Oh, I really,
Up
really
your
highly
game.
recommend.
Adult, guys, let's adult. Shall we?
Right.
Shall we?
Right.
Get good bedding.
Right.
Be an adult. Guys, you're gonna thank yourself. You're gonna thank yourself. Good bedding matters. We're in there 8 hours a day.
All right, so to get this offer, you literally just call or text Chris at 317-523-6831. That's 317-523-6831. Or email him at villagemattress@gmail.com.
He's here in the chat right now.
I know. You just mentioned our show, and he will hook you up. All right.
There he is.
It's been awesome, guys, this week. I'll see you guys next week. Also, one quick plug. If anybody didn't watch Abbott Elementary this week, it's on Hulu. The show is called, the title's The Fundraiser. It's the newest one. Check it out. I'm co-starring on it.
That's
Guys, Jansen is on Abbott Elementary this week. This is the hottest show that's going on. It's on ABC. You'll find it on Hulu. And our friend Jansen is a stud. Come on, everyone show some love.
Big ups, big ups.
There you
All
go.
right. All right, Jansen, head out. We'll have these guys shamelessly plug themselves, and we'll see you next week.
Take it easy, guys. Love you.
Bye, sexy.
All
Look at
right.
that. He just whipped up. Did you see that, Ryan? He just
That was impressive.
That was pretty good.
he just like a Marvel superhero.
All right, we got our business done. Let's let these fine young gentlemen get their business done.
Do it.
Bill, you mentioned monochromatic clothing. I want to point out that your beard is literally blending in with your shirt, so you're like a monochromatic human being right now.
Mother's milk in the cup.
Mother's milk in a cup. That's a good one. That's a good shirt to have.
All right, who wants to plug your amazing new show. And I want to congratulate you on your episode today that just dropped this morning with none other than Matt Hatch from the Dusty Whale.
Wait, what?
Yes.
Matt Hatch?
Our first guest.
They pulled Matt.
Yeah.
First
Yeah.
guest. Well, hopefully we'll be a guest someday, Ryan.
Yeah.
Maybe a puppy can dream.
When we
We
get
have to
some
talk
Matt
about
Hatch
Dragonlance.
numbers, right?
We're famously
You have to
not
talk
invited
about
on
Dragonlance.
any other shows, but we invite
Yeah, I know.
everyone
We
on
have
ours.
everyone on. No,
You're going to be on ours.
I
We've
know.
already decided. You're going to be on ours. We already decided.
Yep.
We just got to
And
find the
you're
right
gonna
book.
eventually, I want you guys on with the adaptation, which Bill and I are going to be recording. Bill's coming on as a guest with us for with the adaptation again tonight. We're finishing up. What are we finishing up? We're getting close to the end of season 2.
8
The
and
Sandman.
9. Yeah, we're doing Sandman
8 and
episodes
9.
8 and 9.
You're doing that tonight?
Yep.
I-
A little
I-
bit here.
What?
All right, so Bill,
Is
you're
it live stream?
Bill, you're a guest on Glenn's show in that situation, right?
Yes,
And you know what episode you're doing, and he does not.
correct.
Okay, just make sure.
Ryan, this
He's
The shade.
right.
Right.
You're right. What chapters are we doing on New Spring?
The last 3.
Yeah, okay.
That's the right
All
answer.
right, that checks out.
I'm like, yeah, that's not wrong.
What number is it?
All right, so let's. Dan, this is be professional. They're plugging.
I am.
They're plugging. You're riffing on their
No,
plug.
I'm thrilled.
All right.
Yeah, Bill and I released an episode on Dragons of Winter Night from the Dragonlance Chronicles this afternoon, and we're going to be filming with Jen next time we discuss that show. Jen, we've had on with me on my other channel on What the Adaptation. So we're getting a lot of videos put out there coming up soon.
Nice. Well, keep them going, man. I mean, there's no harm to publish content, you know.
Nope.
Keep going.
Having
Keep
a lot
going,
of fun
keep
doing
going.
it.
Yeah,
Awesome.
getting
We've been
used to
doing
my
this.
own voice. That's hard.
Hey,
Yeah,
MaTsDaGger.
I'm not used to it yet, so it might take a while.
No one ever is.
No, I'm not used to Bill's. All right,
Yes,
Shansani, speaking of voices, what do you have coming up? Have you been working on your parody songs? What's going on here?
No, I do have a lot of them already, but like I've just been doing other things, so I haven't been working on any lately. I mean, I already did my one for the next What Idol contest, but I've been kind of trying to like write some new ones, and I've just kind of also been distracted by other things, so I haven't really done any lately.
We are probably definitely going to have much more pronounced this because we are getting into where the girls go to the White Tower and are dealing with all kinds of lies that die.
Oh yeah.
What is it? What's book 6? Is it Fires of Heaven? What are we on?
No, book 6 is
Lord of Chaos.
Yeah.
Lord of Chaos.
That's what we're on. Yeah. So there's gonna. Yeah, I am a Lord of Chaos.
True.
All right, so feel free to answer that phone.
Yeah, whose phone is ringing?
No one.
My cortex is buzzing. All
Not mine.
Hey, this is the level of professionality we always bring. Thank you for joining us, Shansani, Bill,
Thank you.
Glenn. After this, we are moving on from the show until any significant news comes out. We are going to dive back into the books. We have
Ryan. Actually, next week, do you want to try and do Origins?
You always do
Ryan.
that. What?
Ryan, do you want to try and do Origins next week?
Sure.
Well, okay, never mind.
No, I'm playing with you because
I thought of this and you said we're done, and I'm like, wait. I thought let's try and do Origins next week. Let's talk about all the animated stuff.
Okay, yeah, that's a good idea. Maybe.
I don't know.
Just don't do them one at a time for Patreon.
Hey,
No, we'll just do them all.
We don't want the listeners to have like business meetings live. Let's just let's save that for another show. All right, so we are heading out, and we're gonna say goodnight and a bit adieu, and get to reading, you dirty, filthy animals.